Hello everybody, I'm Mysterious Maiden and welcome back to yet another video. So, do any of y'all remember the art style challenge that was popular in 2015 or so? If so, you might also remember that I attempted to do this challenge by drawing my 4 characters, each in 10 different art styles. And as you may know, I only did that for my character Starlight and then just kinda stopped. Or did I? You see, that's kind of the weird thing about this. I have the recording, and I vaguely remember me editing the video for the part 2, but for some reason, I just never did it. It was also during a time when I was low on self-esteem, so maybe that has some play into it. It would kind of be a shame to let all this work go to waste, so might as well let it give the attention it deserved. I mean, it's not like it's gonna be that bad. It's only 4 years old. Ugh. I'm sorry, little me, but I'm so going to roast you. Anyway, let's get on with the video. So first up is my art style and some info about my character Netherstar. In my previous video, you're right, might remember this clip. Starlight was created when I was at the ripe old age of 13. Here's our baby picture. We'll get to you in a moment. Yep, that was the original Netherstar design. At the time, I don't think her name was Netherstar, I can't remember fully. But she was created during that time in the early 2000s where it was popular to have an evil twin or counterpart. The main inspiration at the time was Markiplier and his counterpart Darkiplier. In the beginning, Netherstar's role was just a typical evil feelings make evil person that controls and make the person evil. But I think one day I just find that too boring and I was like, what if she is a spirit that was trapped in the gym? And then things started to grow and ideas were starting to sprout and I'm like, what if she is a person that got cursed into being ancient spirits and is now doing evil stuff because revenge or whatever. So around the same time that I was feeling disconnected with Starlight as being a representation of myself, I was also feeling a disconnect with Netherstar and Starlight. Like the story that I want with Netherstar didn't fit well and didn't really connect too much with Starlight, so I decided to just make her her own standalone character and have little to no connections with Starlight. And that's why she looks the way she does now. And as of right now, her story is that she once was a being that got dragged down to hell, and through sheer will and combat skills and pure awesomeness, she became queen of the underworld. But that doesn't mean she's free from paperwork because she kind of works for Death, kind of as a secretary. And she has an assistant named Athena. And here she is, all done. Nice to know that I still don't know how to draw feet. Next art style is Astro Boy. Upon hearing that, you either 1, have no idea what I'm talking about, or 2, thinking about the 2009 film Astro Boy, or 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about, the 2003 to 2004 reboot anime Astro Boy. I loved Astro Boy as a kid growing up, and as a shy and mildly aggressive kid, I really connected with the feeling that something about you is so fundamentally different, it almost sets you apart from everyone else. I could have been a supervillain. I've been wanting to make a video talking about my childhood and all the antics I've gotten into and just how much of a cocky little ball of anger I was. I should definitely work on that after this, and after my Undertale video. I swear I am working on it. Now, depending on which version you watch, Astro Boy is either made by Dr. Timba as a sort of replacement for his dead child, or is made by Dr. Elephant to advance technology or make a super robot to better humanity. In either one, Dr. Elephant serves as the main caretaker and sort of as a father figure to Astro Boy. For the main plot of the story, the best way I can describe it is if Detroit becomes human, was for kids. And this kind of story is even more interesting if you take in the factor of modern technology and with AI and how we're trying to regulate it, how some people are trying to force it and others are trying to fight back. And looking at that show now compared to how I did back then, my opinions and how I view it has changed. But how I would react if I were to encounter a real life Astro Boy, I don't think changed that much. If you guys are interested, you can watch both the 1960s, the 1980, and the 2003 version. I think it's like the first season, all on YouTube for free. And here's Netherstar in Astro Boy's 2003 anime art style. I imagine that she would be an antagonist for Astro Boy, and that over maybe an episode or two, he would have to convince her to change her ways, or she would die in a blaze of fire like Atlas. I remember little me was proud on how this came out, and I think it still looks good. I think like some of the colors could have been done better. Definitely could have gone for a stronger pose, a stronger silhouette, but overall it doesn't look that bad. Art style number 3, Mega Man. I'm not sure if it's officially said or not, but I chose these specific art styles because the show itself had some kind of influence throughout my life. But for Mega Man, it's a little bit of an oddball because it didn't really influence me that much. I did have a bit of a phase, but it was short-lived and it wasn't that impactful. Even in that phase, I wasn't really kind of in there. So to have Mega Man be one of the styles is a little bit odd. Something more appropriate would have been like Wings Club, Eon Kid, or even Wildcrats. But I think we both know the real reason why Mega Man was part of the roster. And here she is all done. Although I really do like the design that little me made for her, she just feels plastic. She doesn't feel metallic. She feels like she was made in a toy factory rather than some mad scientist's laboratory. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Long ago in a distant land, I, Aku, the shape-shifting master of darkness.
Samurai Jack! Oh yeah, now we're getting to the good stuff. Samurai Jack is one of the shows that I get to grow up alongside it. I remember that when I was like 5 or 6, me and my older brother would constantly recite the opening scene because it's just so awesome, and I would watch the show. We had the 2nd and 3rd season on CD, so I would just plug it into our Blu-ray and just watch it all over and over and over again for days on end at times. And I will boldly say that I firmly believe that Jack and Dexter. Samurai Jack is the perfect example of an adult cartoon. Like, you don't have to be overly gory, you don't have to be overly sexual to be enjoyed by adults, but the fact that it can also be enjoyed by a younger audience makes it amazing. And the fact that some of the jokes are just underlined enough that as a kid you won't get it until you're older. That is just perfect adult cartoon. And I wish that in our modern day and era we have more cartoons that are more along this lines. Like, there's nothing wrong with have something that's a bit more, you know, romanticized, that's a bit more gory. Like, that's fine. But at times I feel like we miss the point of what it means to be an adult and think that being an adult means you can endure all of this gore and blood and all these graphic things when that is not the case at all. Overall, I think Samurai Jack sets a good example of what it means to be an adult, to have to endure life and its hardships. That, and I love that Aku is kind of like the Doofenshmirtz of this series. Kinda unsurprisingly, this art style works amazingly for Netherstar, and I think she kind of fits right at home with it. I kind of doubt that she would be a major antagonist, probably someone that would pop in and out, giving Aku his coffee, or, you know, figuring out the schedule, who wants to see him, who can see him, and whatnot, just working at the desk as his secretary or something. If you remember my previous video, I believe I did mention that I was a huge Sonic fanatic. I wasn't much of a gamer, so I wasn't really into the games. I just watched my brother do that. What I was really into was the shows. I've seen them all. I've seen Sonic Adventures, Sonic Underground, Sonic X, which is the style that I'm trying to replicate here, and at the time, the new show Sonic Boom. I find it kind of funny as well, because when I was recording this, I was in high school and at pretty much the peak of my Sonic obsession. I remember that I would stay up late on school nights just reading the Archie comics. I was trying to get as far as I could, and I think I gotten pretty far, but then I just kind of stopped. Because it occurred to me that grades are more important than a comic that I could read at any time. Then also, I think I conceptualized that my obsession over Sonic was kind of a little bit too far out there. Because a few years prior, when I was like in middle school, I was madly in love with Sonic.exe. Why? Little me, out of all the things you could have had a crush on, you had to choose a literal bloodthirsty demon. The sucker has blood coming out of his eyes. He doesn't even have eyes. What? Oh man. How do we not end up in an asylum? But anyways, here's the final product. Woo! Just focus on that instead. And I do have to say, this is a pretty good replica of the Sonic X art style. I think I did pretty good on this. I do think I probably went a little too much on the reflective highlights, and I should have used blue instead of just a dark gray for that weird shadow thing. But overall, I think I did pretty well. I could definitely see with the design Netherstar being an enemy of Sonic, probably something on the lines of, what is it? Infinity from Sonic Forces? Something like that.
My little pony, my little pony. Ah.
So, My Little Pony. I feel like I'm cheating with this style because I already did a My Little Pony in the previous video. So to do it again feels like cheating. What I should have done is, like in the first video, did Gen 1 because that's what I'd grown up in my younger years. And then I should have gone with either, I think it's Gen 3 or Gen 3.5 with this one. And then the next one, do Gen 4. If I was going to do the same show, I should have done its different reboot styles. Because as I already said, doing the exact same thing feels like cheating. It's not being fair to the challenge in itself. That being said, I don't think Netherstar fits very well inside the MLP universe. I mean, she can, but currently with the design that I went for her, I feel like it's a bit too complicated, even though My Little Pony does have some complicated designs for an animation. I don't know, just for Netherstar, it just feels complicated. Maybe I shouldn't have made her an alicorn, rather instead a cursed unicorn or even an earth pony. This was made either just after or before Twilight got her wings. So at the time wasn't really aware of all the different races and creatures that were residing in Equestria or out of it. So if I was to design her with Gen 4, I would have probably chosen a different creature. Ghibli. Ghibli, Ghibli, Ghibli. What more could I possibly say other than that? Ghibli is just amazing. Their story's fantastic. Their world, beautiful. The animation is glorious. And the food, oh my goodness, the food. Ghibli had no right in making a drop of honey look so scrumptious on a crumb of bread. You, sir, Mr. Hayao Miyazaki, you. God rest your soul. I hate the English language because there is no amount of words that can express my absolute delight that these movies had brought me, and the absolute wonder and... Pete, I'm trying to record here! I should have recorded that. My brother gave me his milkshake. Thank you, brother. But yeah, bottom line, so far in this entire lineup, none of them influenced me as much as Ghibli Studio did. Or Studio Ghibli, or however you pronounce that. Another reason why the English language is stupid. When I study animation, I really need to hone in studying Ghibli because, as I already said, it's just glorious. Anyways, here's little me's attempt at recreating the art style. I don't know why I made Netherstar human in this one. I guess I was thinking, what would she be like if she existed in the world of Ghibli? But if she were to exist in the world, I feel like she would be some kind of evil spirit or an angry spirit. Something that would be an antagonist to the main character. And she wouldn't say anything. She would just appear and do something that makes the hero's journey longer. But once maybe she has what she wanted, she would just leave again without saying anything. Maybe the hero has something of hers that is very valuable to her. And when she has it, she's just gone because her spirit's at rest or something. Kind of like a no-face situation.
Chasing rainbows on my own, but the more I try to move on, the more I feel alone.
Okay, so Vizzy-Pop. Remind you, when I was recording and making this art, this was before all of the controversy with Hell of a Boss and Has-Been Hotel. This recording was around when I think it was definitely after Has-Been Hotel had their pilot episode, but I can't remember if it was also after Hell of a Boss had their pilot episode. But I guess it must have, because I have stole this from Hell of a Boss on there. Growing up before all this, I looked up to Vizzy as an inspiration for my art and animation, and I could not wait until she had her own show. And even though I'm a Christian, I was honestly excited to hear that Has-Been Hotel was in process at the time. And not gonna lie, I was also kind of wondering just how wrong they could get the theology. And yes, I'm well aware that the story is more inspired from Catholicism and Judaism? Is that how you say it? The Jews. After watching a little bit of the show and a little bit of Hell of a Boss, needless to say, I was kinda disappointed. The story was kinda flat, and I often had times trying to figure out what the point of the episode is. And the designs were okay. I mean, I was expecting some unholy, low-key, just eldritch horror nonsense. Like something that makes me want to go, ugh. But they're just guys. Everyone is just a guy. The 7 deadly sins are just guys. The antagonist is just a douchey guy. The literal king of the underworld is just a guy. Overall, remember how I said that I firmly believe that Samurai Jack is a perfect example of an adult cartoon? I would say Hell of a Boss and Has-Been Hotel are perfect examples of what a cartoon for adults should not be. But anyways, here's Netherstar in my attempt at Vizzy-Pop's art style. And yeah, Netherstar having such a simple design really does not fit well in Vizzy's complicated design. But, yeah, I tried. Okay, so how many of you guys watched Disney Channel growing up as a kid, or even as a teen? If you were one of those people, you probably remember the show Hannah Montana. And if you did, then congratulations, you know the whole shtick behind Jim and the holograms. But instead of teenagers, they're full-grown adults doing adult lives. And instead of a wig and makeup, it's a hologramic machine that can basically make anything and is kind of the main character's mother. it's been a while since the last time I've seen the show. And like any show that was in the 80s or 90s, it was very geared towards a younger audience, trying to teach them the rights and wrongs of society. Like, it's important to read, or don't bully, typical stuff like that. There was an episode teaching kids not to do drugs. Now, for context, the main thing about Jim and the Holograms is that Jim's father runs an orphanage. And in fact, all of the band members were once part of that orphanage. And so they're were semi-adopted by the father, so they're like one big family, but that's besides the case. Jim continues the orphanage, and in that episode, there was a girl that recently got brought into the orphanage, I think. She was struggling, and she loved playing guitar, but, that wasn't making her feel any better. Her music's going worse. There's a competition coming up that she really wanted to be a part of, but because everything's going on, she couldn't. And so there came this guy offering her drugs, telling her that if she were to take it, her music will sound better. And so she does, of course, and she thinks she's doing better, but in reality, she's doing much worse. She's getting high off it. And one thing that they did in the show that I don't think they did anywhere else, at least from what I recall, is that they actually make her look worse. Like, her face starts to get sunken, she gets bags under her eyes, her hair, I think, gets more messy. Actually showing the physical consequences to taking drugs. And also shows, the addiction, she's becoming more desperate. She stole money from Jim to pay for more drugs. Don't worry, this is a kid's show, so there is a happy ending. She finally talked to someone about it. She admits it. She got into a sort of therapy group to get over her addiction. The drug addict got arrested, and her guitar playing got better, and I think she eventually did compete in a talent I think it's a talent show. She either won or the people just liked her playing. But either way, I think this is a really good episode that demonstrates the harm of illegal drugs. And it doesn't even have to be illegal drugs. You can replace the drugs with anything harmful in your life. But either way, I think it's real cool, and the music video in this was super trippy. This whole episode was trippy, from what I remember. Yeah, when I was downloading the PNGs for this video, I might have overlooked this one, and that was a long time ago, so the art file for this is long gone. But pretty much that last bit is how it just looks. I think if Netherstar was to be depicted as a human, it would have been in this universe, because she looks really weird with no clothes right now. I mean, that's kind of her shtick. She is meant to be naked, but like, for the context of this world, it just kind of doesn't seem right, So, yeah. Tokyo Mew Mew. This is technically my first Magic Girl anime that I ever watched, and I remember that I was obsessed with this story. I don't know why. I think it's because of the alien freak. I kind of had the hots for him. Oh man, what's wrong with you, child? But yeah, I would stay up late trying to watch every single episode. I would watch it on my 2DS when my mom and dad took my phone away. And when they took that away, I would just, sit there angry for the rest of the night. Man. Girl, yeah, problems. You need Jesus. The main plot of the story is that it's about endangered species, and that these girls whose DNA is compatible with these endangered species DNA get fused with it, and they gain the power of these animals. Like the main character, I think her name is Kiki. She gets the power of a cat because, and there's one with the bird, and then another with a whale, and then a monkey, and then a wolf. And they have to fight these aliens who are trying to basically evict humans so they can take over it because their planet sucks, I guess. I can't remember. And during the course of the story, the alien freak kind of falls in love with Kiki and kind of, quote unquote, claims her. I told you he's a freak. And then there's other love drama, and then a cafe as a sort of guise for identity, and then there's science and drama. That's all I really remember from the show. That and the aliens basically akumatize the animals to fight against the girls. You can watch it on YouTube if you're interested. But oh look, there she is! And she looks terrible. I have to admit, this is probably like the worst one yet. Like, she did not need to be a human in this one. She could just do fine as a weird alien boss monster thing. She did not have to be a magic girl. I guess Little Me just thought it would be funny to have the Lord of the Underworld, well, yeah, the lady, the big boss huncha, be a magic girl wearing a prissy little outfit. But it's only funny if it's good, and yeah, that is not good. You tried, Lil Me, you tried, but that's not good. And that concludes this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want me to continue this series, let me know by giving this video a like, share with a friend, or try out that weird hype thing or whatever it is. If you want to see my channel grow, then, well, I mean, you're gonna need to participate. Yeah, selling it. Regardless, if you actually liked the video, I probably am going to continue the series because I said I would do this challenge, and I am gonna do it. It's about honor and the principle. I need to reconcile myself. That is all. Thank you guys again so much for watching. May the Lord bless you and guide you. I'll see you in the next video. This is Mysterious Maiden signing off.